Pre-cuts. They say everyone loves them, but is it true? And who are they? Are pre-cuts helping us, or are they slowly sabotaging us? Are they bolstening our creativity, or are they hindering it? Let's find out right now. We're gonna break down what each pre-cut is, what they're used for, and answer the blunt question of, are they necessary? Are they helpful? Yes, no, or maybe, all in this video. So let's start with why pre-cuts exist. As a manufacturer like Riley Blake or Moda or any of the other ones, they want you to have a piece of every single SKU in each collection, okay? So most collections are 20 to 21 pieces. The idea is that you can get a little bit of everything so you can take it home and make a quilt. Now, obviously a lot of pattern designers have taken this and they've said, okay, I'm gonna make this for this pattern jelly roll friendly or layer cake friendly. That's the reason why. Now, let's talk about the how. This right here, I'd like to introduce you to Little Red. We named Little Red for obvious reasons. Every single manufacturer, whether they're doing it in-house or they're doing it overseas where the fabrics are made, have a machine similar to this, okay? We make our Vegas strips, pretty much the coolest pre-cut around, on this machine right here. And just like the layer cakes, the jelly rolls, and everything else, it is made here on a machine like this. Now, this is an industrial cutting machine. It cuts only straight lines, okay? This is not a laser, this is not a plotted cutter, it only cuts straight lines. You lay your fabrics on here and they slide underneath and it starts to cut. And obviously, like I said, we do our Vegas strips on here, but you could also do layer cakes, jelly rolls, charm packs, etc. Like I said, every manufacturer has one of these if they make pre-cuts. Once they've been cut, it then goes through the packaging process of jelly rolls get rolled, charm packs get stacked, and then everything ends up through a shrink wrap tunnel, as well as labeling, stickering, etc. Now that you know the why and the how, let's go to each pre-cut individually and see why they are, or maybe not, necessary. We're gonna start with the first two and the smallest pre-cuts. The charm pack and the mini charm. Charm packs are 5 inches square, mini charms are 2.5 inches square. The only company that makes mini charms is Moda, and there's a reason for that. We're gonna get into it in just a second. But first, charm packs. Charm packs give you basically like a very small sampling of a collection. They are fantastic for your smaller projects, your baby quilts, your table runners. You could even do like a table topper or placemats, things like that. They are budget friendly. They're usually between $12 and $15 and gives you kind of just a sampling of, I love this collection, I want a little bit of it, but I'm not gonna get the whole thing. I'm not gonna get, large portions of it. So great option here, okay? Cons, they're 5 inches square. So if you're doing a huge project, you have a lot of sewing to do, okay? On top of, same thing here, let's go to these guys. If you're doing a project with these that's a large project, you're brave, okay? 2.5 inches square is small for a project, okay? You're really only gonna use these for pillows, a table runner or two, or things like that. No other companies make these because, quite frankly, they're very small. You obviously aren't gonna do a large print quilt with these. You also kind of lose some of your design identifiability. If you have a large design, you can't identify that when it's cut so small, okay? If you have something that's this big, you're gonna get a quarter of it, okay? Here's the pros. They're cute. People love them. They like to have them in the stash. They're ready to rock and roll. Are they useful? Now that we've covered those, let's get to our next pre-cut, which are similar but larger layer cakes. The humble layer cake. Layer cakes are 10 inches square. So you get the exact same thing. You get your lineup of color, but in something a little larger. Now, let's look at this print compared to a mini charm. If you have these flowers here, there's no way you're gonna capture that with a mini charm. It's just not gonna happen. I love layer cakes because they give you a larger look at the prints. They also obviously make quilts come together much faster because you're working with bigger pieces, okay? Those are the pros. Cons, the only thing that I can think of is, unlike jelly rolls, which we're going to next, you can't do like your strip piecing with these, as it kind of speeds up your process doing strip piecing, as opposed to these, there isn't that. Is that a con? Maybe, kind of just a different look. Love layer cakes, they're fantastic. Now, one thing that everyone's gonna say in the comments, I already know, is that there are pinked edges and there are straight cut edges on your pre-cuts, okay? Some people say that the pinked edges are a pro, others say they're cons. I'm gonna tell you why. Every single one of these pinked edges, you have the peak and you have the valley as it goes through like this. A pinked edge kind of just goes like this, down each side of your pre-cut. Now, the pinking is done because it helps manufacturers not have the fraying that happens from a straight cut, okay? The question always is it accurate? Do you sew from the valley? Do you sew from the pink? Here's my opinion on it. As long as you are doing it consistently, you're using the valley as your 1/4 inch, or you're using the top or the peak as your 1/4 inch, as long as you keep it the same throughout your quilt, you're gonna be okay. But it's kind of like the long quilting debate of, is it a pro or is it a con? When we cut our Vegas strips, we'll show you at the end, we do straight edges because it takes away the guesswork. It's a straight edge, you put them right sides together, boom, 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 you sew, and it's ready to rock and roll, okay? So let me know down in the comments if you like to have pinked edges or not pinked edges, as well as if you sew on the peak or in the valley. Let me know below. Now let's talk about a fan favorite, jelly rolls. Jelly rolls are 2.5 inches wide by width of fabric, so between 42 and 45 inches depending on the manufacturer. Why do people love jelly rolls? Jelly rolls are loved so much because you can do what is called strip piecing and chain piecing with your jelly rolls. You have long strips, you can cut them into your 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch sizes, and then all the patterns that are made with jelly rolls, you then cut from there after you've made a strip set, okay? Everyone loves them. Cons, they're only 2.5 inches wide. So if you have a print that you're really trying to accentuate or trying to show, you only get 2.5 inches of it. Is that a con? You let me know. Now let's talk about our very own pre-cut right here at Sew Yeah, the Vegas strip. Being in the industry, we've seen what people do with charm packs, mini charm packs, layer cakes, jelly rolls. We wanted to create a pre-cut that is like the best of all worlds, okay? So we created the Vegas strip. Vegas strips are 6.5 inches wide by width of fabric. So you get the width that you can use like a layer cake where you can show bigger prints, as well as the length of jelly rolls, so you're able to also maintain that strip piecing mentality, okay? These right here are fantastic. Again, there's 20 to 21 pieces, just like normal collection, and they're 6.5 inches wide by width of fabric. And right here on our YouTube channel, we have all kinds of tutorials and free patterns linked to these guys. So if you haven't got one of these yet, down in the description below, we'll put the link to our Vegas strips, check them out. Now let's talk about what's actually wrong with pre-cuts. First off, pre-cut dust, okay? Nobody likes pre-cut dust. Every pre-cut that is cut is going to have pre-cut dust. It's normal, it's natural, it's a cotton fiber, it's being cut over and over again. You have 40 pieces there, okay? You're gonna have dust. Now, allergies, studio, etc., not awesome. That's the first thing that's wrong with pre-cuts. Now, second, although a pre-cut might look like it's perfect, it might be, instead of 5 inches, 4 7/8 inch. It might be skewed where you don't have a perfectly straight cut or 90-degree angles. There's a little wiggle room. Nobody's sewing is perfect either, but that's the second thing that's wrong with pre-cuts, is they're not always perfect. The next thing that's the issue with pre-cuts, not all manufacturers make them in sets of 40 pieces. So it's usually 40, 42 pieces. Our Vegas strips are 20 pieces, obviously because they're bigger. Sometimes there's a collection that has, let's say, 50 pieces, like Lori Holt. You're not going to get one of each one of those prints in a pre-cut. Manufacturers play with the sizes. Let's say there's an 18-piece collection. Okay, now you have 2 or 3 prints that you get 3 or 4 of. That makes an issue when you're doing your quilts and you're designing, because your quilt pattern is going to call for 40 pieces, let's say. You have 28 pieces, 30 pieces, etc. It's an issue when you're coming down to your designs. Let's talk about the biggest hindrance of pre-cuts to you as a quilter. Imagination and skill. Are pre-cuts taking away our ability to learn the color wheel and put colors together? Are they taking away our ability to use our imagination and envision what a quilt's going to look like on the wall? Are we taking away our ability to really get into a quilt store and use our imagination in design work? That's a question for you all to answer. My name is Brody, teaching you how to sew like a pro with all this new info. We'll see you next time.